Hi again. Today I want to give an update on some items of kit. And firstly, a while ago I reviewed the Nitecore EDC33 flashlight, and I've been using it for a while now, and I just want to mention a couple of things about it. This is it here, and it's a really good design. One of the features of it is it has a safety lock, which is a very useful item. It stops the light being inadvertently turned on in your pocket, and one of the problems with that I'll come to in a second. But it's a sliding lock, and you don't want to have to be looking for where the lock is, because obviously you're going to use the flashlight in the dark, so you probably won't be able to see the catch. However, the clip, the belt clip, if you index by having your fingers around the grip, then your thumb will find the catch there. Okay, so it's a natural index. So just when you access the flashlight, grip it so that the clip is to the front under your fingers, so the index finger is at the top, index finger and thumb on the back, and you're right on that switch, which is useful. I had occasion to use the flashlight in work. Myself and a member of staff had to go and look for the circuit breakers in a large underground room with no light in it. All the circuits were off, and I used my flashlight on the lowest setting for about 3 minutes, and it quickly got too hot to hold. The heat buildup is intense. It's a thing I'd noticed before when I was testing it on the different power settings and so on. But after just 3 minutes on the lowest power, as I say, it was uncomfortable to hold. So going back to the safety catch thing, if it switches on in your waistband, for example, or in your pocket, you'll quickly be aware of the heat. So what this means is I've changed my evaluation somewhat. It is still a good EDC light. It's still a good shoot light, which I reviewed it as, because when you hit it full on, a full positive switch on, you get the maximum, the lumen shield it's called. So for the dark lantern technique, or using it to index a pistol, it's still really good for that. What it is not so good for, and this was a topic we talked about at length on the forum, in a thread that was started by Marcus Wynn on readiness gear for disasters such as the London bombings, natural catastrophes and so on, where you need a sustained source of light. There's many flashlights which are designed, you can hang up inside a tent, or wherever you find yourself, in a cave or whatever, and you can build a fire or whatever using the flashlight as a lantern. Can't really do it with this one. So if you want a flashlight for a kit for outdoors, camping, that kind of eventuality, or for in your vehicle for any kind of possible natural disaster or problem, then there are many others on the market which would be a better choice. But for me, still, it's a good EDC flashlight. Next, I want to talk about a tourniquet which I reviewed again some time ago when it first came out from Snakestaff Systems, their ETQ, Everyday Carry Tourniquet. And I gave it a positive review. I liked it a lot. But there were some reviews that had some criticism of it. And Snakestaff have had a look at the more relevant criticisms, taken them on board and responded to them by making some modifications, changes and alterations to the design, and they've produced Generation 2. And that's what I'm going to review now. I sent over to the States to a supplier over there, and I got one, and I've had a good look at it since. So really, Snakestaff are demonstrating very good customer service in responding to relevant criticisms and changing the product. So, I applaud them for that. One thing that most reviewers agreed upon was the concept, the idea of a compact tourniquet, which you can carry with you at all times. And that really is the raison d'etre for this ETQ. So the various upgrades I'll go through in detail. So the first is what they call the power curve, which is on the slot through which the band goes. There is now a curve to it, and what this does, it distributes the load on the strap in such a way as it avoids the band bunching at all. It's a very small design change, but it does provide an important function. Next, the windlass, what they call the tri-grip windlass. The windlass is what tightens the band to occlude the blood vessels, and so it's a critical piece of kit. Now, if the windlass bar is smooth, then your grip on it can be compromised if your hands are sweaty or bloody, which is likely under the circumstances it's going to be used. On the other hand, if it's deeply knurled with grooves, they can actually tear surgical gloves. So what Snakestaff have come up with is by making contours to it, which actually accentuate the grip or the gripping potential. By the way, one of the ways you can check whether a cat tourniquet, which is the kind of industry standard for the normal size tourniquet, whether you can check if it's genuine is by the windlass. The authentic cat tourniquets have a very sturdy windlass, but some of the cheap overseas copies, it's fairly skinny, and it's a failure point, which you certainly don't want. Next, what they call the power ring. It's a metal ring placed between the windlass and the carabiner, and it's to eliminate friction and to make tightening the windlass to increase circumferential pressure much more positive. They've also improved the body of the tourniquet. They've slightly lengthened it, and again it's to prevent any kind of bunching or twisting of the strap. The carabiner, which is where the end of the windlass is placed to lock it when maximum torque has been achieved. The carabiner is the same size, but the actual the lock part where the end of the windlass is stowed is slightly larger, so it makes it easier to use. The band material has been reinforced with a backing which is designed to prevent it folding in on itself, which was something that reviewers had picked up on. The company has retained the printed instructions and the QR code on the band. The idea of this is that if the casualty, the owner of the tourniquet, you've got it out and you then become unconscious or totally disorientated, and a passerby who hasn't had specific training in the use of a tourniquet can read the instructions or can scan the QR, be taken to a website and even a video, and there's a very good chance to be able to do the job properly. Now, the first generation had a little chem light, and I thought it was a neat idea. However, under operational conditions, they found that the light often broke, and it didn't really serve that much of a purpose. So they've eliminated it, which has taken some of the costs away, which has made them be able to incorporate the other modifications at no extra cost. If you want a marker, you could clip a little glow disc to the carabiner if you so wished to do that. And also I've brought out a trainer, a dedicated trainer. Now, the idea of the trainer is so that you can do your repetitions, practice and so on without actually compromising your operational tourniquet, which is a single-use item, and once it's being used there's a tendency for the band to stretch and it may not really do the job as well after repeated applications. So keep your actual operational tourniquet pristine and you use a trainer. So the new trainer is in blue, which is the universal colour for trainers, and there you have one that you can use. Now, when I first got a cat, what I did, I bought a cheap copy, one of those cheap copies, and I marked it in blue, and I used to use them, and amongst the training group and so on, we could use that to get the reps in of using it as a trainer. Then Cat brought out their own dedicated blue trainer, and I got one of those. So you have the options, and it's very, very important that you train with the actual equipment. Now, I recently watched a video of the United States Marshals Service instructors who were presenting classes in officer survival and tactics to a group of local law enforcement, and some really good training ideas, and one of which was they had to self-apply a tourniquet to the upper arm under time pressure, and it's a really good thing. And just on that point, when you are training, make sure that you practice on both sides, so that you do repetitions where you're putting the tourniquet on a supposedly injured master arm, and you're using your support side, your least dexterous hand, to thread it through and do the application. It's very important you do that. And also under different environmental conditions, with your hands freezing cold, for example. So make your training realistic. Let's go on to the carriage of the ETQ. Now, the Gen 2 has the same size profile as the Gen 1. It's done in two widths, the standard and there's a wide. And it will fit into a magazine pouch for a double stack magazine, for example, a Glock. So if you want to carry it with whatever, you've got a Kydex magazine pouch or a leather magazine pouch, will fit into that. Also, there are many aftermarket pouches that fit things like multi-tools or small flashlights that would accept the ETQ. There is a school of thought that if you are going to carry a tourniquet, you're probably going to carry a trauma dressing as well, because the two things complement each other. And if you're faced with a non-compressible wound to the abdomen, for example, you want the dressing rather than the tourniquet. So people who are going to carry a tourniquet are probably going to carry a dressing as well. So the simplest thing is to carry the two of them and just put them in something like a Ziploc bag, and they'll fit handily into a pocket, even a shirt pocket, and you've got it with you at all times. If you want to go a little bit further, you can add other items. As you will see, this pouch will take the dressing. The dressing I'm illustrating is a compact Israeli dressing, not the full size dressing, but it will soak up the blood. And also included is a hemostatic agent, in this case Quick Clot. And the other thing, it's actually in the picture, it's inside the pouch, surgical gloves. Now, this pouch won't accept a full-size cat, but it will take the ETQ. So you've got a nice little package. Okay, it's a pouch. It will fit into a cargo pocket, something like that, or you can have it on your belt. Oh, also, just to mention, also in that package is a credit card wrapped in duct tape, which is used as a chest seal. Then, if you're working in close protection where you're suited and booted, and you don't want to be carrying extra pouches and things in your pockets and so on, then a really good idea is this ankle carrier. Wraps around the ankle and it's out of sight, and your items are available. We have the ETQ and we have the Israeli dressing. This is actually a full-size one, so it's possible to slim that down even more. And at first it's a little bit uncomfortable carrying something on your ankle if you're not used to it, but after an hour or so it's not a problem. Okay, final thoughts. Relatively few years ago, the idea of tourniquets were total anathema on any official first aid course here, and I think it was the same in the United States. courses run by the ambulance service or St John's or whatever. If you raise the idea of tourniquets, you got all sorts of misinformation about your leg falling off. Anyway, things have changed, particularly with the use of tourniquets in the war on terror, and the medical, the civilian medical market then realised that they served a tremendous purpose. They saved many, many lives, and the myths about them were not true, and so now they are accepted, and it's taught, the use of tourniquets. And then when you consider the tremendous rise in knife crime here in the United Kingdom, that to the point where kits are being put on walls in public places containing tourniquets and dressings, and also classes are being offered in stopping the bleed, it's obviously something of major concern. So the ethos of snake staff systems is that the compact tourniquet is something you can have with you all the time. It's a piece of essential, potentially life-saving equipment, and there's no reason not to have one on you. And they've fulfilled a real purpose with this. So with the rise in knife crime and other possible methods of injury, then the tourniquet is something that you may need to use on yourself, on a loved one, or even just a citizen, a member of the public. And the ETQ allows you to do this, and as such it's a major step forward. And I'll put a link to where you can get one in the UK. I'll also put Snake Staff's website up, and they have a lot of training material and videos on that. So there you have it.